Hey y'all, welcome to Sex Ed for You, the podcast where research meets reality.
I am Lauren, a Certified Holistic Sexuality Educator.
And I'm Holland, and I have a Bachelor of Science in Public Health.
Sex Ed for You's podcast is for people who want to date and have great sex that is fun and safe and enjoyable. We like to empower our listeners to make informed decisions that lead to values-based living.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sex Ed for You with Lauren and Holland, where research meets reality.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're so happy that you're here. Before we get going too far, we want to remind you about our monthly membership program, Hemlock. It is only $10 a month, and you get the following things. You get journal prompts on the first of the month. You get a full moon podcast called Under the Hemlock. And you get a new moon gathering where we talk about our book that we're discussing. We talk about the journal prompts from the top of the month, and then any discussion questions that I really have on my heart at that moment. You know, and we talk about human design all the time, Holland and I do, and it is really a part of my design to hold space for stories and to create communities. And also, I'm really passionate about Sex Ed for You having these accessible price points for comprehensive sexuality education, and Hemlock is the best.
It is, and talk about accessible price points. We actually right now have a code for you where you can get your first month free. It is code BRANCH, BRANCH. And yeah, so join us for 1 month, see if you like it. If not, then, leave, no harm, no foul. But we would love to have you just to try it out. It is right now only for femme presenting people. This is a woman and femme and female space that we're really cultivating. And yeah, we would love to have you.
Join us. You can go to sexedforyou.com/hemlock to learn more. And again, use BRANCH at checkout to get your first month free.
Woo, woo.
We'll see you there. Right before we went on air, that sounds so official.
Ooh.
Right before
Can we get an on-air sign?
Ding! That'd be so fun. We were talking about kind of themes that have been arising. And one of them in my life, your life, and the lives of our friends that we hung out with this weekend is kind of new seasons and this catch-22 of as we become more aware of ourselves and of our growth, sometimes things have to fall away. And the paradox of the discomfort, yet knowing, got to spiral up, got to keep moving, got to keep growing. And this showed up in lots of different forms. But yeah, we thought we could have a short and sweet podcast talking about reassessing and how it's okay.
And hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard. It came up for me recently, for so many reasons, but especially when our friends came this weekend, because one of the questions we asked, we had a beautiful breakfast and closed out our breakfast and our time with our friends by pulling cards from the We're Not Really Strangers deck.
We'll link it below.
I'll link it below. And one of the questions was, what dreams are you letting go of? And that question can mean so many things. I think it was beautiful that we all took it in different directions. And the direction that I really felt it in that moment was that I'm really transitioning into a stage of my life where not everybody's coming with me. I am losing a lot of friends, losing a lot of close people to me by choice, truly. And I think that is much harder than having a fallout because I'm having to actively decide that some of these relationships are just not good for me anymore. And it's difficult, but it's really needed, and it's helping me become a better person because I am no longer being put in situations or putting myself in situations where I don't feel seen, where I don't feel valued, where people don't really truly know me. And that is hard to make that decision, but it is bringing joy in its own way.
And it's giving agency to the other people. We talked about this kind of on the Breakup podcast, that by not clarifying what we need in any given season and communicating that to the other person, that's expecting other people to mind read how we're growing. That is allowing them to become the villain in our story so we can be like, ugh, they did this, right? So we ended the friendship instead of, taking the agency on ourselves and being like, I'm growing. Like, I need to do this for me. The whole it's not you, it's me type of tripe. Sometimes it's just true.
So So fucking annoying to say it out loud, though. It's like, oh, such a pick-me phrase, but it's true.
But isn't it? Like,
is.
if its origins are in consensual communication, it's true.
Yes, and I think this whole concept so beautifully aligns, too, with what we're speaking about on our news channel segment today about realigning. It's almost like we all make yearly resolutions, right? Everybody has something that they say in January, whether you write it down or in your own little happy place of a mind, you just say, maybe I'll be healthier this year.
Yeah.
Well, we should really be doing that a lot more often and be doing it in a way that aligns with our values and our desires for whatever next season it is, whether that be a week, 3 weeks, months, a year. But how often would you say we should do that check-in?
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up because a client recently, shout out, said, how would you define a season? And it was a beautiful question that allowed me to like sink into my body and think, how would I define a season? And I think in times of my life, a season has looked different. I would define a season as a period of time in which you are existing with certain values, desires, beliefs. I think if given the opportunity, all of us can sense the end of a season. Intuitively, we're like, I'm outgrowing this thing. I think that all of us as human beings are fluid and always expanding. Madeleine L'Engle, one of my favorite fiction writers, would say, a self is not a parcel handed to you. A self is always becoming. And I love that. We are always becoming. And I think we have seasons of growth. Peter Levine would say we have seasons of expansion and contraction. And so I would say we expand and then we go through a contraction. That's a season where we're like, just need to hold still now. Need to get a handle of this concept. Need to learn a new tool, a new modality. Then we've mastered it and we can feel instinctually, it's time again. It's time to move on. It's time to grow a little bit more, expand a little bit more, and then contract. Hold still, gather that new tool. Yeah, so I think, yes, we could look at nature for seasons, of course. We could say winter, spring, summer, fall, of course. I don't think all of us are that tidy. I know I have had, I call it like my affectionate slutty season, right? I had a season of really learning my sexuality, and that lasted about a year and a half of true like exploration. And then I could feel myself growing out of it. I could feel some of the behaviors that I was engaging in no longer aligning with what I was coming to know about myself, what I was learning. And so then what I needed to do was exactly what we're talking about in our new segment today, was take a pause to revisit the goals that I had for myself. Did I meet those goals? Are there goals that are actually no longer serving me? Have I changed and grown and become a different version of myself where then I need to reassess and revisit and rework these things to fit where I want to go now? I think our culture really has this still tendency to applaud people doing the same thing forever, right? It's like, she retired after 40 years in this profession, right? They were together for 50 years. We tend to almost worship longevity. I don't know why.
Me either.
Comfort?
I'd give you the answer if I had it.
Knowing the ending? Security? I'm sure there's some of these things.
Yeah, and I think we just romanticize longevity. We also romanticize immortality. We're just humans that have weird fetishes.
Yeah. Talk about a fetish. I think that sometimes we don't want to do the work, which is what you just alluded to as well. Sometimes I think we think, okay, if I choose a thing and stick with it, the work is done. I can sit back and relax. At the theater, they tell you that. Set everything beside you and then sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I think being a choice maker, reassessing our lives every season, takes a hell of a lot of responsibility.
And active ability to look at oneself.
Yeah.
And the willingness to see the good and the bad.
Yes.
And I don't think everybody is in a place where they are capable or willing to do so.
You and I talk about this phrase all the time. Sorry, audience, if we've said it a million times. I used to believe, then I learned, and now I think. We were talking about it today. Yeah. We had a meeting, and after this meeting, I was telling Holland, hey, I think you can be more clear. Like, I think you can say this, this, and this. And it is always beautiful for us to learn. My clients know that when I first started this work, I thought it'd be a really good idea to have like a starting and an end point. By the end of our sessions, you will have accomplished these goals. And I thought it would be really great to say how many sessions I thought in my all-knowing power they could accomplish these goals. What I realized in my quest for them not to feel like I was creating a codependency on Sex Ed for You is that I was putting the fear of God into them, and they were so full of anxiety that they wouldn't meet the goals in the time that I expected them to meet them.
Yeah.
So through clear consensual communication, I was like, oh, my bad. Let's change how we do this. Let's now do a check-in every 6 sessions and then jointly together come to an agreement of consent, on when you will wind your sessions down. But I didn't start out doing that. And it takes, it takes that accountability and humility to say, oh, thank you for that feedback. Wow. Yeah, no, I could do that better.
Especially for people with the best of intentions, like you and I. And I mean, a million other people, but like just like me and Lauren. No, but like we always go into things with great intentions, with all of the love in the world. But sometimes it's just wrong. And like, you got to look at that and be like, oh, okay, well, change paths.
And sometimes not even wrong. It's just received differently. We were talking about this with our friends this weekend. The difference between a violation and an accident is something we use in the BDSM and kink world all the time. A violation, not okay. That is a knowing fracture of someone's boundary. An accident is an unknowing and unintentional breach of someone's boundary. Important to be able to take ownership when we have accidentally done something unintentionally to harm. It is always okay to take accountability for harm. And also, how cool when we can be the person who receives someone saying, hey, you harmed me, and you're safe here. I will sit with that. Thanks for bringing it to me. Wild when that can happen. I think I told you. Did I talk about it on here? That after we had our values and ethics conversation in our dating policy, which we will follow up with you all. We have made some really cool strides. Then a friend called me out on something?
Yeah, vaguely.
Did I talk about it on here?
No, just to me.
Because doesn't this kind of go? It's in the same way.
100%.
Yeah. Speaking of folks with good intentions, but also the role the other plays. This friend, wise business owner of her own, I had reached out on Instagram and said, oh my goodness, can't wait to hear about the retreat that you went to, the like business retreat. And she wrote back very honestly, and this is what Holland's talking about, right? Like she felt in her belly, I need to share something. But meanwhile, over here, Lauren's thinking everything's hunky-dory. So I get a message back that's, Lauren, love you so much. You have not responded to the past few messages that I've sent, which has led me to feel a little sad and unsafe to share things with you. Period. It wasn't like, this is what you should do. It wasn't, I'm mad. It was, this has led me to feel. This behavior has led me to feel.
Do with that what you will.
Do with that what you will. What did my whole body go, ugh, yes. And I am so damn thankful for this work that we do. Because I thought, okay, here's a chance to use all these tools. I can get defensive right now. I could think, how dare she? Or I could be curious and lean into this. I could take accountability for the harm. Did I intend to hurt her? No. Did I? Yes. And I could just lean in and see what happens. We had this beautiful, I just can see our stick figures, this beautiful negotiation that went back and forth while we talked about my harm. She said, thank you so much for just saying sorry. Thank you for not getting defensive. Then, of course, went on to share, this is connected to this childhood wound. It means so much to me that you protected, that you were a safe person for me to bring this to. Then we developed steps going forward, how it could look in our relationship. And I even said, if you need to boundary against me, because I'm probably always going to do the thing that I just did, which was hear something exciting and then like take it into my hermit cave and do my hermit witchy wonders with it. And if that's hurtful, that's okay. If you need to grow in a different direction, I celebrate you. But it turned into the most beautiful conversation. But it was a reassessing, right? I know our relationship's been like this. I can no longer do that, right? I used to believe. Now I've learned. Now I think. Can't do it. So cool.
And we get to do that with ourselves, like in the mirror. just look in the mirror or,
Yes.
get a journal out. And because I think we all have these goals floating around in our head, preconceived notions of ourselves or of what the next few weeks will look like. I think we all have anticipatory thoughts and feelings. And writing those down, I have found for myself, can really help me assess whether I actually want to engage with those goals and thoughts that I've written for myself, or if I want to reassess and look at it and be like, okay, well, this is just a goal that somebody else mentioned to me and I don't actually want to do that. Let me reach out to them and say, hey, I know that we had intended to, I don't know, do whatever thing, but I just don't want to do that anymore. And like setting up these, a way to consensually communicate not only with the people in your life, but with yourself and set realistic expectations and goals for the next few, whatever.
Your next season.
However
you might define it.
I love a season. I call it an era. I'm an era girl.
Yeah.
Season gives me Jesus vibes.
Sure. Season, era, chapter, track.
I love chapter too. Chapter and era are kind of what I float around. See, you can even negotiate what you call this.
You do. Lean in. See what feels most authentic to you. Remember, these are our opinions. Form your own, like we always say. Here's some of the questions that I'm going to be asking on our news segment a little later today. I'd encourage you to listen and write these down because these are some excellent questions to ask yourself when you're in a era of reassessing and really seeing what has served you in the past few months and what's going to serve you going forward in this next chapter. What activities no longer stimulate me or facilitate my growth? What expectations of myself am I carrying that need to be released? What seeds of wisdom do I need to glean from the past few months and apply now? What beliefs am I holding on to that are limiting my progression?
I love the word glean.
She loves the word glean.
Titillate and glean.
Almost as much as I love titillate.
They're good words.
They're good.
We use them a lot in this field.
We do. Haha, the field. You're gleaning in the field.
Ha ha ha.
I think who we are and who we're becoming is hopefully always evolving a little bit. And so many fun analogies, right? But as we're navigating this life that we're leading and choosing to lead, things change, characters come and go, and we get to write the story. And it's okay. Let us give you permission. It is okay to pause, reassess, and then change the story.
Yeah.
To edit.
We had such a beautiful tarot card reading that we did together yesterday, Sunday. Because I'm in this time of like, I can feel my body. I can feel my brain saying like, things need to change. Not in a bad way, but in a way of it's time to move on. For me, my whole life has been seasonal. We'll put it that way. I struggled so much in high school when I bounced from friend group to friend group very often. But when I look back on it, I can so clearly see that I just outgrew people very quickly. Not people. I wasn't outgrowing or better or anything like that. But I was just changing so rapidly. I went through quite a few traumatic events in high school. And so I was just maturing, changing, growing very quickly. So I would hop friend groups trying to find people that could help me grow in the way that I needed. And I've always been that way, especially with friend groups. I can almost tell you exactly what season I was in and which friends were there for it. And I love every single last one of them. I don't connect with all of them still to this day. Just like every person in the audience probably knows that, you're not friends with all friends all the time. But these people I still have beautiful connections and memories with, and I love them so much. And friend groups have been such an indicative way for me to turn around and look over my shoulder and see not only versions of myself, but versions of my friends and see how they have changed and grown in different directions. And it is such a beautiful picture of not only my life, but a life that is interconnected with the lives and variations of others. And I really applaud my own body's wisdom for knowing that that's how I grow, that I am so emotionally connected and driven that I have to be surrounded by people that help me flourish in that way. And certain people have just really, really done a beautiful job of helping me grow. And I really love being able to look at all of the interconnected, interwoven relationships that I have in my past.
And isn't it a delight to consider that we don't need to leave people and relationships and friend groups because they are hurting us or harming us? We could leave because simply we need to keep growing.
Yeah.
I stumbled upon this Instagram, and maybe we can find it, years ago, that was talking about the one thing a licensed professional therapist would tell seniors going to college is that the first friends they make are not their forever friends. They are their transitional friends. They are to help them make the friends that will lead to the friends that will become the people that walk with them through this season. And that transitional friends, there's nothing wrong with transitional friendships. We truly need them. Mm-hmm. And to discredit them would be a harm to all of us. Mm. I think to discredit, so many of my clients enter into sessions wanting to date, wanting to have sexual encounters. And I say the same thing to them. These first dating experiments are most likely not going to be your forever partner. Your first sexual experiments are most likely not going to be the ideal, perfect type of sex. We talk about this with principles of liberated relationships all the time, that your first sex, not all your best sex. Mm-hmm. Sexual skills, relationship skills are like any other skills. They have to be learned and practiced. I really want us all to lean into this concept of it's okay to reassess. Mm-hmm. It's okay to edit. It is okay to look back and say, what's no longer serving me?
I think it's so fun to kind of do similarly to what I've done and been able to see the markers of my seasons or eras. I would really encourage people to take a minute or more than one with a journal or just in your own mind's eye and consider, what does mark a season for me? What symptoms of change do I feel in my body? What do I see myself doing when I feel seasons change? Like, what have I done in the past? And do I want to change the way I shift my seasons? Do I do something maybe a little bit unhealthy when I'm changing seasons? Because I've done that for sure. And just evaluating the entirety of seasonal shifts can be really fun.
So much. And then we start to do my favorite thing, which is have grace and compassion for ourselves, which is where it all begins. Because individual healing is collective healing. Mm-hmm. And if we can have grace and compassion for ourselves, then you better believe when someone starts to not answer our texts as much and we can feel them drifting away and we can think within our body, maybe they're growing. Maybe this doesn't have anything to do with me. Maybe they are growing. We see them on social media having lunch with somebody else. And maybe our first thought isn't that bitch. Our first thought is, I'm so happy for them. They're growing. They're becoming. That starts with ourselves. Because if that is our first reaction of, we're all deserving of growth and relationship and expansion. It's this idea of compersion from our sexual verbiage of wanting pleasure and joy and love in the lives of our friends, not saying, no, I need to be everything for you. I need to be your everything. No, that is this like scarcity mindset, and that is attached to all these property things from like old times. So do yourself a service. Like Holland's saying, do some reflection. We all need to grow and become, and it is okay to celebrate another's agency to do the same.
Mic drop.
So many mic drops on this one.
Mic drops on air.
Holland and I are trying to be better about not doing so much verbal agreement on the other side.
I don't know if y'all can see
us
focusing. The amount of focus we're doing to not go, yeah, because I have to edit these. And when I'm editing them, I'm like, oh my God, Holland, stop saying yeah. Like,
And then when we're trying to make sound bites, we don't even have them because the other person's voice is in the background going, yeah. So we're trying really hard. Tell us if it sounds silly.
tell us we're doing a good job.
But like, we're really trying hard to be better podcasters.
Somebody just tell me I'm a good girl.
But I think we'll wrap up here on that. Holland, you're a very good girl. Thanks for coming to this podcast. If you want more resources on this, this is the perfect type of thing to reach out to us for. We have some on the website already. Go to sexedforyou.com/shop. You can definitely download our How to Make a Values-Based Mission Statement worksheet with values and things like that, which could really help you structure. And I will say that March is technically the time where everyone starts to feel this awakening, this revigoration of their lives of, it's not cold anymore. I can do things. So if you are feeling this natural pull, go to our website and get that handout.
I'll put a code in the description too, so you can download it for free.
Oh, look at you. But it's also a thing that I work with a lot of clients on. So if you're like, this is nice, I'm going to go join Hemlock, but I would really love some one-on-one work, go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and request a consult through Holland for me, and put on there that you were listening to this podcast and this is the type of work that you're interested in doing. I work with so many clients on this. So even if you're like, oh, my sex is fine, I'm great, I just don't know how to adjust and expand, we do that work too. Because
absolutely. Personal growth coaching, baby.
Yeah. Sex isn't everything. It's just a part of everything is what I like to say. Sex ed school changed my life. And now I like changing everybody else's. Reminder, these are our opinions. This was a lot of opinions on this one. Sure, there's research to back this, and we're always mentioning our favorite peeps. But if you ever question our resources, please ask us. We want to be that transparent. We want to be a safe container for that. Please throw it out at us.
Yeah.
What else?
Follow us on Instagram, sex_ed_for_you. And use code BRANCH. Join for the first month free. We would love to have you and get to know you. And
come hang out with us. We'd really, really like it. It's a really cool group of people, and you will not be disappointed.
Have a great week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.